Many years ago, when you heard the term cartoon violence, you thought of shows like Tom and Jerry, Popeye the Sailor Man, and Looney Tunes. In the early 2000s, a few sadistic monsters created a show that made those other guys look soft and cuddly like the Care Bears. Happy Tree Friends is the definition of don't judge a book by its cover. Within minutes of watching, I quickly learned two things. One, this is not a kid's show, and two, absolutely no one is safe. Trust me, I know, I'm late to the party, but with good reasoning. I completely missed this one in my teen days. Okay, maybe not exactly. Somehow, perhaps God himself intervening, I always changed the channel whenever this show came on. Here in Canada, it briefly aired on a network called G4 Tech TV. So after watching my video game like Electric Playground or X-Play, this cute, bright, colorful, out-of-place kids cartoon would come on. At first glance, it looks like it could be shown on a kids channel right next to Franklin and Arthur. Before it could get to the action, I'd already be on another station. It wasn't until a few years ago I saw it going viral for being one of the most gory, grotesque cartoons ever made. Gory? This cute, fluffy has gore in it? So of course, I had to check it out for myself. Now, let me tell you, this show is beyond up. The creators obviously got together, did a bunch of blow, and said to each other, let's make the most shocking, most unhinged cartoon ever made. And thus, Happy Tree Friends was born. I can only imagine how much childhood trauma this caused. Little Timmy sitting in front of the TV, just channel surfing, looking for a nice wholesome cartoon to watch. Oh hey, look at these cute animals. Then seconds later, he's seeing a baby getting violently shredded to pieces after being placed in a garbage disposal unit. Now I feel old. Back in the day, cartoon violence was seeing Bluto bonk Popeye in the face repeatedly, Daffy Duck take a shoddy blast to the face, or even Rafiki throwing a tiny baby Simba off Pride Rock and watching as he's devoured by hungry hyenas. Okay, that last one didn't really happen. The point being, what the f*** is this? That's a baby! It's a miracle this went under my radar for so long. I was around for the 1990s, the wild, wild west days of the internet, E-Bombs World, Newgrounds.com, Stick Death, tame in comparison, but back then an example of shock humor was a skit about a random Indian dude witnessing his pet dog getting kicked.
Your daughter come to my house today and she come on my property and then she kick my dog.
Who kicked your dog?
Your daughter kicked my dog.
Which daughter?
You know damn right!
Over the years, as people got desensitized, I guess they had to up the bar, right? And that's how we end up with Happy Tree Friends. This show took shock humor to a whole nother level. This may be the epitome, the most violent animated show ever, and I'll be hard-pressed to find something that tops this. I've seen enough to get me intrigued, so it's time to do a deep dive. Time for me to experience Happy Tree Friends in its full, sick and twisted entirety. Using the now discontinued Flash software, Aubrey Ankrum, Rody Montiel, and Ken Navarro started messing around with random animations. After being picked up by Mondo Media, the three would begin a new project. Eventually, they ended up with a cartoon that resembled any other Saturday morning cartoon. Cute, fluffy animals, bright, colorful backgrounds, big eyes, and wide smiles. The only difference was at some point in every episode, one or more of the characters would be killed in an extremely graphic manner. An animated dinosaur sucks ass at playing the banjo, so his three friends laugh at him. Rightfully so, he sucks. Dino gets mad and brutally decapitates his friends. Then a severed beaver's head bites the dinosaur in retaliation. The end. Who in a million years would have thought this masterpiece would have gotten the job done? This was the finished product they would present to the Mondo Media execs. The sick f***s loved it so much they put all their money and resources behind it, which led to several seasons being released online, millions of clicks per month, then eventually a TV show. Happy Tree Friends debuted on October 3rd, 2006, and to no surprise, only lasted a single season. The storylines are limited and the dialogue doesn't exist. This is one of those silent cartoons where the background music and sound effects carry the show, like Fly Tales or Untalkative Bunny. But when a cartoon is solely based on random animals brutally killing each other, who the f needs voiceovers? Bring on the death and carnage. There's Cuddles, the bunny, Giggles, the chipmunk, Disco Bear, the blind mole, Flippy, my personal favorite, the thieves, Lifty and Shifty, Handy, the clumsy construction worker, Nutty, the candy addict, and several more. This is Lumpy. He's a moose, but not just any moose. He's an asshole moose, an asshole like I've never seen before. Whenever this prick is involved in an episode, just know mayhem will follow. In episode 7, a dad and his cub go into a pet store to purchase a new companion. Dad sets his eyes on a cute puppy, while baby cub shows interest in a vicious, bloodthirsty, caged animal. Lumpy the Moose plays a wildlife control officer in this episode, and he's dispatched to a call. On arrival, he sees Cuddles wounded, screaming for help. It seems a giant squid is on the loose and wreaking havoc. Lumpy pulls out a mousetrap and somehow manages to tame the wild beast. Now at home, baby cub is playing with his new puppy. Dad begins whistling happily as he leaves the two to get more acquainted. Seconds later, he hears screams because the dog has mauled the baby to death. Dad calls wildlife control for help. Lumpy shows up and catches the puppy in his net, but the careless moose didn't realize that dogs can chew through mesh. Puppy wanders off and finds Giggles, who's hanging some clothes on the line in the backyard. And aw, look at that. A tiny little bird lands in the back whistling a tune. After a few tummy rubs, the cute puppy decides to eat the chipmunk's ass. Literally, it skins her alive and then devours the body in a now bloody bucket of water. Lumpy shows up to help. The nearby kettle begins whistling and the puppy attacks, giving a whole new meaning to the phrase, eat your heart out. In self-defense, Lumpy Hail Marys that little bitch over the fence and across the street. Here, Mime sees the cute dog about to be ran over, so he blows his whistle. The puppy goes psycho, killing the driver of the car. Then for no apparent reason, it attacks and kills Disco Bear, who just happened to be walking down the street, enjoying life. Lumpy now does the science and concludes, every time the dog hears a whistle, he goes Jeffrey Dahmer. Lumpy tackles Mime to prevent him from blowing it again. Unfortunately, he swallowed the whistle in the process. And even more unfortunately, Mime gets clipped by a passing car. Look at that! They could have just had his head pop off or show a puddle of blood. His head exploded like a melon and got smushed to pieces. You can see the brain matter. Now with every breath taken, Lumpy lets out a loud whistling noise which triggers the dog's psychotic rampages. The pup fucks Lumpy up and chases him up a tree where he would stay till nightfall. When the dog is finally sleeping, Lumpy comes down only to realize the giant squid from earlier has hijacked his truck. Lifty and Shifty just happen to be in the area after a robbery. They get covered in ink and then suffer death by tree. Out of the back of the van pours dozens of stolen cute puppies. Lumpy accidentally misplaced the killer dog, so he has the genius idea of blowing the whistle to get the pup to expose himself. Unfortunately for him, it wasn't the side effects of just the one puppy. This whole breed of dog turns evil when whistled at. So all the dogs get triggered and mutilate the poor moose. This is the shit you guys were watching in 2006? A bunch of cute fluffy animals getting f***ed up? Here I am trying to entertain you guys with thought-out video essays when all it takes is me abusing adorable cuddly things? The real retarded thing about this show is how the animals suffer from severe amnesia. Everyone dies a horrific death, roll credits, cue the next title card, and poof, back to status quo. Nobody remembers anything. You just watched your friends get decapitated. Now here you are again seconds later with a big old dumbass cute smile on your face as if you're not about to die again in a few minutes. There's no character development, no growth, no lessons, just non-stop death with the repeat button activated. Viewing each episode knowing the same outcome will follow is like watching Sideshow Bob in the famous rake scene. In episode 12, Petunia the skunk has some friends over for breakfast, so she throws some pancakes on the fire. A call comes in, she gets distracted, smoke turns to flames, which in result ignite her body. She runs around helplessly until Giggles puts out the fire. Mime dials 911. Seeing he can't speak, the dispatcher hangs up thinking it's a prank call, so he runs down the street when he bumps into some firefighters saving a cat from a tree. He uses mime language to try to tell them about the fire, but they think he's a crackhead on drugs. Luckily, Cuddles is still on the ladder and sees the fire in the distance. They quickly drive off and the rabbit sees his untimely death. When they arrive, Tootie the squirrel attempts to breach the door. Unfortunately, Petunia was directly on the other side and receives an axe to the head. Sniffles the elephant tries to attack the blaze from the second floor, but he's blown to pieces and the ladder falls. Pop and Cub were nearby watching the action unfold when the ladder obliterates the baby. Poor dad. The blind mole mistakenly connects the fire hose to the gas tank instead of the fire hydrant. Disco Bear sprays gasoline all over the fire, making 10 times worse and killing several more friends in the process. Handy the beaver uses a helicopter to extinguish the flames. He goes to refill the water but accidentally grabs a pile of garbage instead. We cut back to Lifty and Shifty, who walked by, saw a corpse, and thought to themselves, hey, easy money. Karma hits them almost instantly as they suffer one of the most gruesome deaths shown yet. Flames hit the helicopter, sending Handy into a tailspin. He figures bailing out is the way to go, so he hits the eject seat button. He must have forgot this was a helicopter and not an airplane because he's sent directly into the propellers, which blend him into smithereens. The fire burns hot for so long that the whole town explodes, killing any possible remaining survivors. The end.
These videos have tens of millions of views. Millions of people sitting at home watching precious little animals getting tortured.
You would think in a show about randomly killing animals, the storylines would be basic and bare bones. To my surprise, there's actually a decent variety. There's an episode about deep sea exploration, where everybody dies. An episode about treasure hunting in the Mayan ruins. Everybody dies. An episode where they pay homage to the classic Simpsons episode where Bart gets an elephant named Stampy. Yeah, in this one, Lumpy gets a pet elephant that dies. An episode that parodies Final Destination. And guess what? Everybody doesn't die. Well, technically. Sniffles knocks over a glass of milk. Instead of simply pouring another glass and carrying on with his day, he builds a time machine. Now with the privilege of time travel, every time a death occurs, he simply goes in reverse to revive that character. But Sniffles can't play God forever. Every time he goes back, that said character dies in a new, unique way. This episode is non-stop death. Non-stop. 12 deaths. Yes, I counted. I clearly have too much time on my hands. 12 deaths in a 7-minute episode. That's an average of 1.7 deaths per minute. But the best episode has to be the 2-part series finale. It stars my favorite character, Flippy. Now, Flippy is a retired war veteran with a severe case of PTSD. He lives his life normally, but if he hears any type of loud pop or bang, his brain interprets this as gunfire or bombs going off in the distance. This causes him to flip out, think he's back in the Vietnam War, and he gets insanely violent. The episode starts with the friends enjoying a day at the amusement park. A few of them are up in the sky going in circles on the plane ride. Flippy envisions these planes as fighter jets from the war doing a bombing run, and his personality changes. He uses a Rambo knife to remove Disco Bear's head and plants a grenade in his esophagus for safe measure. Then he sees Giggles enjoying the ride and decides to put an end to all that enjoyment. Flippy needs help, and he needs it now. He visits a psychiatrist, which happens to be Lumpy. After learning the meditation technique, Flippy's PTSD is cured. Or so he thinks. He goes on to kill Mime and Sniffles before going back to the psychiatrist for help. After learning the stress ball technique, Flippy's PTSD is cured. Nope. He then sees and brutally murders Nutty. Lumpy deduces that hypnotism has to do the trick, right? Nope. This just spawns an alter ego known as Evil Flippy. The two get into an epic 7-minute fight to the death that goes from the house, to the car, to the store. It features a staple gunfight where they dodge bullets like in the Matrix. There's a torture scene where Flippy is handcuffed and violated with jumper cables, and a grand finale set piece that you gotta see for yourself. Happy Tree Friends is considered a classic by many, but is it really a good show? It's polarizing, so is the premise genius or idiotic? I'm still uncertain. I'll give them a bit of credit. Every episode is like a Rubik's Cube where the sequence of deaths is carefully planned. Cleverly, one event leads to another, which eventually collapses the house of cards, so to speak, until all characters reach their demise. Towards the end of the series, it loses its steam. I mean, you can only kill these poor bastards in so many ways before it becomes repetitive. I just can't get over the numbers. Millions on top of millions of people watched this shit. Not because the storylines were deep, not because it was beautifully animated, it was simply the car crash we couldn't help but look at. Might be tame by today's standards, but back in 2006, this was the show that you shared with all your friends almost like a prank. They'd think it was a safe kids cartoon, like I did. And then boom, you're watching a bunny being violently stabbed by a needle over and over, repeatedly, until you say, "This is so f***ed up, I gotta share this with someone else."
All right, I got something for you sick f***s to share. This is what you want? Sorry, buddy, but this is what the people want.
Oh, thank you, doctor. No, I'm not a doctor.
And that's it for today, guys. If you're still here watching, you already know you're my people, and I appreciate you. If you like the Happy Tree Friends breakdown, drop a thumbs up and consider subscribing. I have a bunch of other videos you might find interesting. Until next time, do what you love, GBE, get better every day, man. I'm the doctor, signing out. Gimme my music. I move in the nighttime, shit, everything I do in the nighttime. Make one turn two in the nighttime. Zoom from that bright light, move by my right side. Crew in the spot and it's like 2 o'clock. Wrist never been in cuffs, evident.